Let's talk TPT School Access. TPT School Access is a program that TPT launched a few years ago, and ever since it's always been kind of a conundrum. I get lots of questions about it every single year. What is it? How do I enroll? Why am I not enrolled? Is it worth it? Should I do it? Lots of questions like that. So we're gonna address all of those things here today in this video so that by the end you will hopefully understand what TPT School Access is, why it works, why you might want to join or not join, all of these things being as a seller. So this video is for TPT sellers wondering about whether or not they should enroll themselves and their stores in TPT School Access. If you're watching this video because you need some information, because you are a newer TPT seller, make sure that you grab your new TPT seller guide down below. And if we talk all about how to list your products onto TPT with like what kind of thumbnails you need to do and your covers and your previews, and we kind of go really deep into all of those things, which is really important for selling your resources. So you can definitely check that out. I will leave it linked free down below. Now, if you're watching this instead of being on the podcast, because I know a lot of you have, actually a surprising amount of you have been listening on the podcast lately, I am filming this actually in 2 different days. So I have like kind of half the video in one, half the video in the other, but I'm kind of bouncing back and forth in the editing. So you're gonna see me in 2 different outfits all throughout. Just, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's get on with it. All right, first of all, what is School Access? So School Access is exactly what it sounds like. It's a program where schools can access TPT resources by the admin paying for them. So instead of teachers paying out of their pocket for different resources, instead admin pays for the whole school. The teachers get like a certain amount of things that they can spend their money on, and then they're able to get resources without the teacher having directly to pay for it. As a seller, you have to opt in to TPT School Access. So I have to say like, yes, I want to be a part of School Access, or no, I don't want to be a part of School Access. If you have opted in before, then the default is that they will keep you in the same like bucket unless you change it. So just FYI, if you weren't in it and you want to be in it, you have to opt in during the open enrollment period, which is currently happening if you're watching this video in real time, which is why I put this video out right now. If you're watching it later, it might not be the right time for open enrollment. So just be aware, keep your eye out, look for those emails so that you know when that happens. Now, resources that can be purchased with School Access are resources that are $15 and under. So none of your big bundles are gonna get purchased in TPT School Access. The big benefit to the schools is that they get resources at a discount. So instead of paying full price, they only pay 80%, which is about the same as you would make on a regular like site-wide sale day. 80% of the resource price instead. So you make a little bit less money. But if the teacher wants to re-access that same product next year, they have to pay again, this time for a 60% re-access fee. So every year they want to use it, they have to pay, but it is at that smaller percentage for, you know, every year other than the first year. This is designed so that your resources can make more money over a couple of years, especially if they're good ones. However, the downfall is, obviously, I'm sure you already thought about it, if it's like a printable resource, they can just print it out and keep it. Or if it's a Google resource, you know, they can just print, you know, get it and make a copy of it and keep the copy, and they only pay that re-access fee if they go to TPT and re-download it from TPT. So that's kind of like the loophole in School Access, is that there are ways to get around that. That's the reason a lot of sellers are really anti-School Access, is because 1, it's been just promoted so heavily in the past. 2 is that the schools get the resources at a discounted price, and that can be super frustrating, especially when they have things like the re-access fee that a lot of people are not going to end up paying. This can be kind of frustrating because for years TPT always says like, don't undervalue your resources, don't undervalue your resources, you need to, you know, price them at fair market prices and not undervalue them. You shouldn't have sales all the time. You know, when you go to do a sale, it says like it should not be longer than 4 days and stuff like that, because they don't want you to undervalue your resource, because then you're not making a lot of money. TPT is not making a lot of money. Like, nobody's making money, and that's no fun. So that's one of the issues. Well, really, that's like the main, really only issue that people have been having with TPT School Access, is that issue that it is priced lower. Personally, how I feel about that is that I am okay with making the smaller price, because 1, if it's a school, they're buying things in bulk And when you buy things in bulk, you get a discount. You go to Costco, you pay less money because you're at Costco, you buy, you know, 87 granola bars at one time. So you get a discount. Like, that's very normal for schools to get discounts. It's very normal to get discounts when you buy things in bulk. Secondly, honestly, TPT School Access doesn't make up a huge percentage of my sales, so it's not like I'm missing out on tons and tons and tons of money. And third, frankly, I feel like if I'm not making enough money, then I should just go raise my prices, because that's the best way to solve that problem. And, you know, go raise your prices by 20%, you made up the difference. One great thing about School Access is there's actually over 100,000 teachers that are currently enrolled in School Access at the moment. One change, however, coming to School Access is that the past couple years, as you may know, TPT has really been promoting School Access. When you go to the page, it's there, there's like a link you can send to your admin and all that kind of stuff. And that is very different this year. What they said in the most recent town hall is that this coming up year, they're going to continue School Access for the people who already have it, but they're not promoting School Access. And it kind of sounded like they weren't signing anybody else up, but they didn't say it in those exact words. They said we're concentrating on the people that are already signed up and the schools that are already signed up and making sure they have access, but we're not openly promoting it for, you know, the coming years. So this year kind of sounds like it's just kind of like a standstill. So I wouldn't expect a whole bunch more people to join, because it didn't sound like that was going to happen. But just FYI, that is what is going on. So as IXL has bought out TPT, some things have been changing, and I suppose that's one of them. The exact words were that they are taking a passive approach to School Access this year. So as a seller for TPT School Access, you have to enroll your store every year to the TPT School Access catalog. So what that means is every year at some point there will be open enrollment, and you just say either yes, I want to join, or no, I don't want to join. If you don't do anything, then it just does whatever they did last year. So if you are on your dashboard, and you might see that up at the top, it says like TPT School Access, and it'll say enrolled or not enrolled. That's just your current status. They used to have like every year, which was kind of annoying. So I'm glad they got rid of those. And if you started a TPT store and you might have missed the open enrollment period, so just like be aware of next year's coming up. Typically, I feel like this is normally in like February, like it's pretty early. This year, however, in 2023, it is actually in May, which is why I'm filming this video, so that you can get this video in real time if you are wondering about this question. There are pros and cons to opting your resources into TPT School Access. Some people are super for it, some people are super against it, some people are kind of in the middle. And so I'm not gonna tell you what the best thing is for your specific store, but I just wanna give you kind of like why some people like it, why some people don't like it, and all of those little details there. So first of all, what are the pros to School Access? Well, School Access solves a problem that I personally, have a problem with, an issue that I have a problem with personally, and that is that TPT School Access allows districts to purchase the resources. As a teacher, I hate spending money on my classroom. Now, do I spend money on my classroom? Yes, because sometimes I want things, and I would rather just have it especially after 6 years, like now being, you know, in a much better place, first of all, financially than I was in my first year teaching. Secondly, just having, you know, a couple of years under my belt, I'm like, if I want something, I just want to have it. I don't want to, you know, stress about it. I don't want to not have it. So at this point, yeah, I do buy stuff for my classroom, but ethically, I really despise it. I didn't buy anything for my classroom for years, partially because I was broke, and partially because ethically, I shouldn't have to purchase anything for my classroom. I really shouldn't. The school should pay for all those things. So one thing, I love TPT, obviously, I'm on TPT, but one thing I don't like about TPT is that teachers have to pay out of their own pocket, and that's kind of crap, you know? Is it great? Yes. Is it helpful? Yes. Does it provide excellent resources? Yes. But I don't love that teachers have to pay out of their own pocket. I just feel like that should not really be a thing. And so I'm happy to help teachers. They're happy to buy my products. So we're in a, you know, symbiotic relationship. But those of you who are like, I don't want to spend a penny on my classroom, I understand. I got you. It's okay. So that's one of the biggest pros to School Access, is that teachers are not paying out of pocket for their resources. The other thing is that a lot of people who enroll in TPT School Access are actually new to TPT or could potentially be new to your store. So I really like this because there are people who have never used TPT because, again, they don't want to spend their own money. And then they see, oh, hey, these are awesome resources that are here on TPT that I can use, and they access them that they wouldn't have normally accessed. And potentially, if they like your resources, they might buy more in addition to the school access products. So with that being said, it's a really great thing for getting new customers because people are less wary about spending the district's money than they are about spending their own money. And the final pro to being in school access is, frankly, just more sales. Because people have money to spend, they're able to spend more money on TPT, and so that means that you have more sales in your shop. If you're not enrolled in school access, then those teachers cannot access your resources, which means that then you're not going to be making any of those sales. Now, if you spend any time on like the Facebook groups or anything, you might notice that a lot of people really don't like the TPT school access. Why is that? Couple things for TPT school access. First of all, and the biggest thing and really the only issue, is that teachers get their resources at a discounted rate. So when someone enrolls in TPT school access, they have like a certain amount of, things they can purchase, a certain amount of money to spend, but they get your products at a discount. So they're not paying full price for your products. They get a little bit of a discount, which, I mean, honestly, I feel like it makes sense because the district is paying for, however many licenses, which means that they're, buying in bulk, so they get a discount. Okay, that makes sense. So just be aware that if you enroll your products into TPT School Access, that means that people will purchase them at a discounted rate. So that is something to be very aware of, and that's why that's the sticking point that most people really get frustrated with, because TPT spends so much time and money telling us not to undervalue our resources. And when you like do a sale and it says like no more than 4 consecutive days, it's because they don't want you to undervalue your resource, because if you make your resource cheap, then it just makes it so that not only are you making less money, but also anybody else who's making a similar product has to kind of drop their price to be competitive. And so it just kind of makes the whole thing not great. So that's the real beef with TPT School Access, is that they get the resources at a discounted rate. However, they're supposed to have to repurchase it again next year at an even more discounted rate if they want to use that same product next year. This is something I think is particularly funny, because if it's like a printed out resource or they already have it on their computer, like they're not gonna repurchase it because I already have the file saved. I already have it printed out. I can just go copy it. So that's something that I think is a little bit funny about the whole situation. Like, why did you even bother with that? Because it's not actually going to work that way. But, whatever. So that's kind of the biggest thing on TPT School Access. And really, it's just that it's a discounted price. So as far as my store, I have opted into TPT School Access every year. In the past calendar year, so in the calendar year of 2022, I made $1,206.80 from School Access, which accounts for a whole 0.01% of my sales from last year. So that's another thing somebody said, like, oh, it doesn't make me that much money, I'm not impressed. So I wouldn't say that you're missing out on like oodles and oodles of sales if you're, not enrolled. Well, I see that notification because it'll say on the notifications like made a sale in School Access. I asked on the Instagram page if anybody else had something to add, and I had somebody said that they made 1.5% of their sales last year were from TPT School Access. Somebody else said they had 15% of their resources were purchased through School Access. So there's a really big percentage there if you're going off of, these two random people that happen to reply to me. And so, it's not a good like data of like, oh, this much comes off it. It's not designed to like make you tons and tons of money, especially right now when they're not promoting it. And it's, the idea originally was that it would get bigger, but right now it's kind of in a passive stage. But the reason that's important is because it's not going to make up a huge percentage of your sales, but that's still, people and teachers who needed resources. So I'm happy to have them get them, especially if they don't have to pay for them. So even though, yeah, it doesn't make up like tons and tons of money, you're probably not going to miss out on a ton of money if you decide not to opt into TPT School Access. But to me, I'm like, that also represents, you know, $1,200 that teachers probably either wouldn't spend at all, or it would have come out of like their spending money, and I don't like either of those options. So it is what it is. It's not gonna make you a ton of money, so don't enroll being like, oh, it's gonna make me all the money in the world. And other people obviously have had more percent, like a larger percentage of their sales come from School Access, so it might just be because I teach music, I don't know. But just be aware, it's probably not going to like totally change your store, but it can help a little bit if you have a couple extra sales coming in. You know, take everything with a grain of salt, because all I can tell you is my experience plus what they tell you on the website and in the webinars and all of that kind of stuff. So that is my stats though, that is all that I can account for. You can do whatever you want. I know a lot of people boycott it because of that price difference. But here's my personal decision. I always enroll because I love the teachers get to use my resources and they don't have to pay for it. That makes my heart happy. I would like more of that. I think that is like the perfect ideal what should be happening. So I think that's great, and I have zero qualms about that. I also love that it gets my store and TPT in general in front of new people who maybe potentially haven't purchased anything, who maybe would never purchase anything. Now they've used your resource and hopefully they had a good experience, and so now they hopefully will get to like it. Also, the more districts that are using TPT School Access, the more they will be more friendly towards TPT, because you know some districts tend to be kind of like, oh no, we don't use teachers pay teachers, and I'm like, it's like the best resources for your kids. But there's a lot of, you know, a whole thing out there which we can go into on a different day. But it gives favorable impressions to districts about teachers pay teachers, and I love that as well. So there it is. Personally, here's my thought. If you're concerned about the money, raise your prices. It makes perfect sense to me that if people are, you know, a school is purchasing a whole bunch of licenses, that they get a discount. That's totally normal in business. That's normal, you know, you go to Costco, you buy a giant thing of granola bars, you get a discount. It's fine. So I personally don't have a problem with taking a little bit of a hit. And again, if I have a problem with, you know, oh my gosh, I'm not making any money, I'll just raise my prices, because your prices are not static. You can change them. And especially if you are making a lot of your sales in School Access, you could raise your prices a little bit. And so then that discount won't hurt as much, or not at all, depending on how much you raise them. So that is personally what I choose to do every year. I've always enrolled. I'm gonna enroll again because I love that teachers get to use my resources without having to pay for them. And that's my personal opinion, and I know a lot of you feel very differently, and that is totally fine. You can hash it out in the comments. I've gotten really horrible at answering comments, so I will probably never see them, or I might see them in like 2 years. But hopefully you have some like constructive things to say down in the comments below. Yeah, so that's all I've got. You can do whatever you think is fine. Personally, I always enroll, and that's my personal opinion, but you can think whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, because it is your business. So have an excellent week, and I will see you next time.